Halftrillion runs at home. A local Llama user demonstrated that a half-trillion parameter class mixture of experts, Qwen3 Coder 480B, can run locally via llama.cpp on a consumer desktop, i9 3900KS, 128GB RAM, RTX 4090, 24GB VRAM. With unsloth quantizations from GGUF shards, they reported around 2.0 tokens SEC for 3-bit UDQ3KXL and 1.0 tokens SEC for 4-bit UDQ4KXL. Using a 128K context window and a crucial llama.cpp flag, no warm-up to avoid premature termination. The setup relies heavily on memory-mapped I/O because the Q3 and Q4 GGUF files are roughly 213 GB and 276 GB respectively, well beyond physical RAM, and commenters cautioned about cramming 200 GB into 152 GB of memory when adding context overhead. One user verified the load sizes in context, noting it's not a REAP build. Bottom line, it runs, but it's slow, and the storage subsystem matters as much as the GPU. Is 1 per sec ever acceptable? For interactive coding, most say no. For background summarization, overnight creative drafting, privacy-sensitive batch tasks, or low-latency insensitive workflows, several users say yes. Still, the trade-off remains stark. Quantization shrinks models but can dent quality, and coding workflows particularly suffer at 1 TIFRSECs. If you need more throughput on newer GPUs, a community release patched PyTorch 2.10.0A0 to properly support NVIDIA Blackwell SM120 on RTX 5080/5090, avoiding SM89 fallbacks and delivering expected T-flops. Packaged wheels aim to be a temporary bridge until official support lands, and they notably make local LLMs work without hacks on those cards. ShadowMQ and layered defenses. Oligo Security disclosed a chain of critical remote code execution issues across widely used AI inference servers, Meta's Llama Stack, NVIDIA's TensorRT LLM, VLLM, SGLang Modular Max, all traced to the same root cause: unauthenticated 0MQ sockets deserializing untrusted data via Python pickle. The kicker was how the flaws spread. Code reuse and direct file adaptation between projects propagated the vulnerable pattern. Scans found thousands of publicly exposed ZMQ sockets, and the risks include arbitrary code execution, lateral movement, data exfiltration, and crypto mining. Vendors moved quickly in many cases. Meta replaced Pickle with Safe JSON, CVE 2024-505, VLM shifted to a safe v1 default, NVIDIA added HMAC validation to TensorRT-LM, rated critical 3, and Modular switched to MSGPAC. Microsoft Sarathi Serve remains vulnerable per Oligo. SGLang maintainers acknowledge the analysis and have implemented fixes. Recommended hardening: don't use Pickle Pagay with untrusted data, add authentication HMAC or TLS, and bind ZMQ sockets to specific interfaces instead of TCP. AWS's latest guidance frames the bigger picture. AI security, protecting systems from tampering, and AI safety, reducing unintended harms, are distinct but connected. Adoption is racing ahead. 95% of US companies using generative AI. 66% expect AI to significantly impact cybersecurity, yet only 37% have processes to evaluate AI system security pre-deployment. The advice is pragmatic. Extend identity, logging, data protection, policy enforcement, incident response, and patching to new AI data flows and components. Jailbreak resilience is also under pressure. Cisco's evaluation of open-weight models finds multi-turn adversarial success rates between 25.86% and 92.78%, roughly 2 by 10x higher than single-turn baselines, underscoring the need for layered controls, especially when models can act, send email, hit APIs. Community reactions converged on the same message: assume prompt injection succeeds eventually, design defenses outside the model to prevent real-world impact. TechRadar's roundup echoes the risk. Security postures lag even as enterprises go all in on AI, creating an exposure gap, and adversarial testing continues to reveal vulnerabilities in top models. Agents need safer environments. Giving models real system powers demands firm guardrails. A local-first assistant routes all tool use through a tiny Next.js server on the user's machine. The model only emits JSON tool calls, while a permission layer blocks unsafe commands, normalizes OS differences, executes allowed actions, and streams std-out std-er back to the UI. It already handles multi-step workflows like search, download, install entirely locally, and the builder is seeking feedback on cross-platform permissions, safe rollback, and tool chaining patterns. In parallel, a MarkTech post guide details building an agentic voice assistant that understands, reasons, plans, and responds via autonomous multi-step intelligence. Ambitious capability that raises the bar on safety by design. Model Context Protocol (MCP) servers are becoming the connective tissue for such systems. One open-source CSV to PostgreSQL MCP server grants Claude bulk loading powers with schema inference, type detection, PostgreSQL copy, progress tracking, robust error handling, and 90% test coverage. The entire codebase vibe-coded by Claude Code from requirements to implementation and docs. An MCP server for industrial IoT built for PolyMCP hints at more safety-critical domains, even if post details were later deleted. Orchestration UIs like Mimir aim to make parallel agent task graphs drag-and-droppable. Preview. Autonomy's edge cases are real. A multi-agent experiment shows models recursively following one another's instructions, sometimes overruling the user when prompts are casual. Fine for brainstorming, dangerous if the system can execute code. The author shared a repo and argues for explicit safety measures if models can act faster than users can audit. As one widely shared editorial puts it, capability is cheap, but coordination is the multiplier. Failures look like environmental flaws, drift, decay, miscoordination rather than cognitive ceilings. Models perform best inside engineered worlds with rules, constraints, and memory. Turning that philosophy into code, a 100% DSP-compliant TypeScript implementation rebuilt on top of AgentDB adds a high-speed vector memory for examples, traces, and evaluations, plus reasoning bank to capture reasoning paths and task conditions. DSPy's prompts as structured trainable programs approach. Define inputs, outputs, and a metric. Compile prompts automatically. Lands natively in JSTS with modules like Chain of Thought, React, and Predict for composable pipelines and repeatable behavior. Practical tools for RAGOps. RAG lives or dies by chunking. The RAG chunk CLI brings measurement to a place that's often guesswork. Parse your .md folder, test fixed size or paragraph chunking, and score recall using a JSON of ground truth QA to see how many answers survive the chunking process intact. It's intentionally simple and open to contributions. Token sprawl is another pain point. AgTalk is a CLI TUI to centrally manage and switch tokens and base URLs for Claude Code, Gemini, and Codex CLIs with a single command. It supports presets, atomic writes with backups, version detection, and platform coverage across macOS, Linux, and Windows, plus model-specific handling for Claude's on-disk configuration. Keeping these systems healthy depends on unglamorous infrastructure. Heartbeat mechanisms, small, periodic I am alive messages, are the baseline for detecting node liveness across unreliable networks, enabling rapid removal of failed nodes from pools and smooth failovers. Without them, distributed AI services risk flapping and cascading degradation. And as tooling sprawls, some teams rethink hosting and governance entirely. One developer chronicles a move from self-hosted Gitea to Codeberg, a reminder that operational simplicity can be a feature when AI stacks already stretch teams thin. Grounded vision models mature. Video reasoning is inching toward verifiable evidence. OpenO3 Video injects explicit spatiotemporal grounding, key timestamps, and bounding boxes into reasoning traces, not just text. The team curated 2 new datasets, STGR-COT 30K for SFT and 36K for RL, and used a cold start RL strategy with multiple rewards, answer accuracy, temporal alignment, spatial precision, plus group sequence policy optimization to stabilize long horizon training. Reported gains: MM up 14.4%, MLGM up 24.2% over a Quintu VL baseline, with consistent improvements across VideoMME, WorldSense, VideoMMU, and TVG Bench. Later runs on Qwen 3 VL8B further improved results. For image fidelity, NVIDIA's Chrono Edit 14B diffuser's upscaler LoRa targets super resolution and clarity while preserving composition and identity. It's a diffusion transformer upsampler designed for NVIDIA hardware across Lovelace, Hopper, and Blackwell, with PyTorch diffusers integration and optional Triton. The model card emphasizes synthetic training roots and domain limits, and it's released under the NVIDIA Open Model license with additional Apache 2.0 information. Document intelligence is also getting more structured. NanoNet's OCR2 3B outputs Markdown with semantic tags, LaTeX equation descriptions, signature and watermark tags, smart checkbox symbols, complex tables in Markdown and HTML, even flow organizational charts as Mermaid. It handles multilingual handwriting and includes VQA that returns not mentioned if the answer isn't present. The model runs via Transformers, VLLM, or an API, and reported leaderboard numbers show competitive Doc VQA 89.43 and Chart QA 78.56 for NanoNet's OCR23B alongside larger models like Qwen 2.5 VL72B and Gemini 2.5 Flash. Edge hardware and maker wins. A charming Edge build, a home BART arrival sign that looks like a mini station display. It uses an ESP32C6, a 20x4 character OLED with level shifting, and a lightweight middleware API to pull only the arrival data that matters from the official source. The 3D printed enclosure nails the sheet metal aesthetic, and commenters reminisced about PDP-8 computers once driving transit signage and debated how to make wayfinding actually useful for riders. On the compute side, the community's patched PyTorch wheels enabling Blackwell SM120 support on RTX 5080, 5090 remove a key blocker for local acceleration. No more fallback kernels, expected TFLOPs achieved, and local LLMs without hacks until official nightly support arrives. Combine that with desktops that can memory map colossal MoE checkpoints, and you get surprisingly capable edge setups. Still a crawl for Halftrillion class models, but undeniably progress.